Hey, did you recently take an SAT and get your score back, and are you wondering whether it's worth it to retake the exam or not? If so, in this video, I'm going to talk you guys through some scenarios in which you may want to retake the SAT and some scenarios in which you probably don't need to retake the SAT. If you're wondering, who is this lady anyway? My name is Brooke, and I've been tutoring and teaching for over 15 years. I've helped students score near perfect, 10 points short of a perfect on the SAT, and I've scored perfectly on the SAT as an adult. And so I'm going to share with you some of my insights on whether it's a good idea to retake it or whether you've probably done enough. If you don't know our channel, we have an online prep system for the SAT and for the ACT, which you can check out at SupertutorTV.com. And we also have a mailing list where we have totally free advice, and we give you an update when we have new YouTube videos that we think might be of interest. You can check that out at SupertutorTV.com/subscribe. We'll also let you know if we have any deals going, any new products, all that kind of good stuff. Let's talk, should you retake the SAT? So what I always like to say is, it depends on a lot of different factors. So I'm going to talk through kind of all the factors that I want you guys to weigh as you're considering retaking the SAT. The first factor that I want to talk about that's going to influence your decision whether you want to retake the SAT or not is, have you actually studied for it? If you haven't really studied for the SAT and you didn't get a score you liked, absolutely you should study and retake the test. But it's not really worth retaking the test unless you're going to study. It's silly to think that like, oh, I should just try to retake it multiple times until I get a little bit lucky. That's not really a great strategy. If you want to improve, you need to put some time in. And whether you have zero budget and you want to watch our YouTube video and collect all the tips for self-studying you can, or you have a little bit more of a budget and maybe you want to do our online course or get a tutor or explore books or other options, whatever way you're going to study, I recommend that you study for the exam. Number two, how much time do you have? How many takes left of the test do you have? If you are a senior and you need to apply early action or early decision, you need to take the SAT by October. And if you're thinking that a later SAT date is going to push you over the edge for early action or early decision, it's probably not, because most schools aren't going to consider anything after that October test date. Now, that's not to say that I haven't seen students go and retake the exam, say, on the November test and then submit that later and then get in off the deferral list from a school they were deferred from that they had applied to early. I have seen some cases like that occur at times. So if you really feel that your score didn't represent you and you feel like you're a senior and you don't have a lot of time, but you already applied somewhere and you're trying to send in a score late, well, sometimes it works. But now that there's no January SAT, I mean, basically you're relegated to, if you don't take the test by December, that's kind of the last SAT that you can take if you're a senior. So if you're a senior and you didn't make the cutoff for the December SAT, chances are you probably shouldn't retake the exam unless you have extenuating circumstances. For everybody else, if you want to retake it, you can. Number three, have you identified what scores you need to go to particular schools or to get in? If you haven't already started to make a college list, I encourage you to do so. And as you do so, I want you to think realistically about what colleges you think you have a shot at, given your GPA and given the other elements in your portfolio. If you feel that the kind of schools that your GPA can get you into are on par with what your test score is, then you might not need to retake your test. Four is, what score do you really want to be competitive for the kind of schools, scholarships, or programs that you want to enter? If you know there's a cutoff you have to reach, that's a really clear goal. But sometimes things aren't that clear. If you're usually at about the 50th percentile for people who are admitted to a particular program, that's usually when I say it's okay to stop. Obviously, you can take into consideration your context, the other things you have going for you, how high is your GPA, do you have great activities, all that kind of stuff. But if you're at that 50th percentile for the schools you're applying to, or the mid-range or median for the scholarships that you are applying for, then you're probably okay. Next thing to consider, will prepping for the SAT again take away from my ability to engage in activities or improve my GPA? And if so, is it worth the cost? One mistake that I think a lot of students make is they focus so much on test scores that they fail to actually develop interesting activities, or a wow factor, as I like to put it. And when they don't develop a wow factor, then you're spending so much time on test prep that it's not actually going to help you that much more. So make sure that you're balancing where you're spending your time. If you feel like you've already studied 80 hours for the SAT, you already raised your score 100 points or 150 points, you know what? You're probably going to do better to spend more time on activities or making sure your GPA is awesome than just trying to take the test over and over again. Another consideration to think about when you're considering retaking the SAT is, how did you do on the test versus how you did in your practice. If you find a huge discrepancy between your practice test score and your actual score, I usually recommend retaking the exam. Now let's talk about number of takes. Generally, I like to recommend that people take the SAT a maximum of about 3 times. Now that's obviously a rule of thumb. It's not set in stone. So if you've taken the thing 3 times but you never studied, well heck, you might try studying and then you might take it a 4th time and it might be worth it. If you have a particular goal and you're an athlete and you need to hit a particular mark, that's a reason to take it more than 3 times. So there are plenty of reasons to take it more than 3 times and there are circumstances that dictate that, but generally I like to aim for about 3 takes. Finally, the last thing I'll say is if you don't feel like taking the SAT again, or you're dreading it, or you're watching this video because you really don't want to take it but you feel like you should, you can always consider the ACT. Sometimes if you just switch tests, you're going to get a little bit more energy and you're going to have the wherewithal to study a little bit more, to work a little bit harder, and then you're going to have enough energy to actually improve and do better and get the score that you really want. In any case, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If so, please give it a thumbs up. If you're prepping for these tests again, check out the best SAT prep course ever or the best ACT prep course ever, in addition to all the other videos that we have here on YouTube, and subscribe to our channel. And we'd love to hear from you in the comments below. I hope you like this. I'll see you guys later, and good luck figuring out the next step in your college admissions journey. Take care. Bye-bye.